Hi, everyone. So this is going to be different from what I normally do. I am a very poor statistician. I did not pass my grade 12 statistics class, which was in Cégep in Montreal. And so there you go. You learned something new that grade 12 and grade 13 are Cégep in Quebec, and you only do 3 years of university. Yay. So I am a poor mathematician, and oh yeah, and I didn't do very well in logic, in philosophy at McGill, so that was also pretty much a math class. So I'm not a math person. So what my task is to say, okay, Miss Thingy AI, do your thingy. Analyze everything as best you can, and I'm going to tell you that you're wrong, and then I'm going to correct you for 90 minutes, and then I'm going to put it online to tell everybody, is it right? Is it wrong? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And so I am providing you with the analysis that it has provided. And so I am just making comments as we go. I've played everything except for um Mutant Year Zero. I haven't played Elysium. I want Elysium. I bought all the dice. Very expensive to buy the dice for Mutant Year Zero, but I don't have the game. I wasn't impressed with the art. But I like Elysium, but I didn't buy it. So, I also haven't played Alien, though I have read it, so I have an understanding of it. Blade Runner I've probably played the least out of everything else, and I have to be honest, I've sold it all. So it's gone from my shelves. I don't even think that I have. No, I don't. I don't have the um I don't have the starter set. I even sold that. I didn't like the game. I'm not a step dice person. And so I told the AI to include it, and then I told the AI, it step dice, and we'll see what it said to me in response to my correction of it. So let's proceed. I hope that this is of value. It certainly was interesting for me. All right, so here we go. This is all the corrected stuff, and I have done it as best as I can. So, um, it is consistent that uh, the Mutant Year Zero, according to what I've heard, is the system that is the easiest. So I concur that 63.4% success rate. At the end, you'll see the success threshold, and those are sixes. Sixes indicate a success. And under key insights at the bottom of the screen, you will see it say Blade Runner correction uses Year Zero engine 4 to 6D6, not step dice. Original analysis was correct. I said it wasn't. It got mad at me, and uh, who am I to argue with the artificial intelligence? So, uh, 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 w- the dice system, when you see four uh, d6 or 2 to 4, that's basically what it's doing. I'm going to show you my favorite game, which is Vasen, of which Thomas supported my youth initiative over at the school. So every week I go over to the school, the middle school, and I uh, play role playing games with them. I teach them role playing games. I teach them interaction. I teach them different role playing games, and uh, I uh, I've been doing it, I think, for 6 years, because it started before COVID. So here is our happy little chart that everybody knows. And you will see that these are the statistics that they provide in terms of the chance of success. Right. You've seen it, you know it. If you're interested in this, you've played these games, or at least one or two of them. So let's go back to the analysis. So Coriolis: The Third Horizon, that was very interesting to see that it is the second highest success rate for a character rolling. Now, I ask it specifically to look at skills, to look at talents, to look at all of this, and way up there in the questions that I ask it, there is analysis of those things, but I want it to chew it down to its common denominators. So, yeah, I think that Coriolis is an easier game. Um, Forbidden Lands, between 2 to 4 D8, D10 step dice. Um, at 61%, it's ever so slightly easier, and Alien being comparable. Now, we'll see what happens in the new edition, and that's going to be coming out very, very soon. And I sold all my Alien stuff except for Building Better Worlds and the core set, because I think that those will be useful if I decide to buy the new Alien. Um, Coriolis the Great Dark. Now, I've played Coriolis the Great Dark. I've played 4 sessions. I've read the beta rules. The beta rules are pretty much the rules. That usually what happens when Free League sends out beta rules is they're already finished. So uh, I fed in the information that was pertinent, that it needed to be able to make an analysis, and I think it does sit in the middle of the road. Blade Runner is supposed to be ever so slightly more difficult, uh, and so is Vaesen. And I think that that's really interesting because Vaesen Vaesen is my favorite Year Zero Engine game. There's just something beautiful about it. There's something streamlined. There's something extremely attractive about the simplicity and the brutality of the game. It is not easy to survive. And so the success rate of 56.3% in comparison to the others, where Coriolis the Third Horizon is at 62.3. Yeah. Now, I mean, we're talking about margins of success, but it does seem to make sense to me. Dragonbane is more deadly than Alien. And if compared to Mutant Year Zero, Dragonbane is considerably more dangerous. And someone who I'm sure is watching this will know that they need to not sleep at night ever again because they killed my character. Poor Hackleswell. He died a quacking death as he lost his head. That's right. I'm talking to you, Dido. So, um, yeah, it's deadly, and GM should not feel guilty about killing player characters if it's under Alien. I think Forbidden Lands and up, you're probably like, wow, your character died? Because Mutant Year Zero, Coriolis, um, are not as deadly at all, and Forbidden Lands isn't. Alien, a lot of people say that it is, and because I haven't played it, I don't really know if that 61.5% makes sense. Uh, Blade Runner, again, I don't know. I don't know if the statistics are right. I don't know if it makes sense, but to me, Blade Runner just didn't catch. I enjoyed playing it with the people that I played it with. I enjoyed the game from the point of view of the narrative, but the mechanics left me wanting. And even though it was on computer, I wanted a lot of dice in my hands. And Dragonbane, I know, is a very different thing, but I, I prefer Dragonbane, and I play in much more Dragonbane games than I do in anything else, I believe. I have been in a One Ring campaign now for, is it coming in on 2 years or a year? Or it's been a long time, maybe 2 years. And none of us have died, We're playing Moria now. This is a private game. It's not online. And 55.2% rate of success. I think that's a little low. I think that it is you do have more chances of success with it. But we've leveled up now to about 100, I think, and 20 points of experience. You get about 3 a game on average. So, we've been playing for a long time, and but we are definitely getting stronger. Um, Tales from the Loop, I was surprised to see Tales from the Loop at 51%. Now, I have played a lot of The Walking Dead. It is absolutely brutally deadly, and it should be. You should be afraid when you play that game. I think with the One Ring, the reason why it is so low is because when you get hurt, you are really hurt and you can't just bounce back up. And maybe the analysis is taking that into account. I am unsure. So the insights, when we look at these, it says that Blade Runner is all fine and dandy. Shut the fuck up. So I am. Forbidden Lands was added, and that is how it has come out. And Walking Dead is still the most punishing. Now, the push mechanism and consequences. So I really like this. Dragonbane, you have a much higher success rate when you push. Now, remember that chart I held up from Vaesen? That's consistent throughout all your zero engine games. So it's talking about almost an 80% success rate when you push. And but the consequence is fatigue. Um and so that's yeah. Uh uh the fatigue system is good. I like that, and it does um it it creates problems. It says 1d4 damage after fatigue. That intrigues me. The One Ring second edition at 67.8% success rate, averaging 2 to 5 dice. And you get a shadow taint according to this. What do you think about that? I don't know if you can equate the two. Uh, Forbidden Lands, willpower depletion. Uh, in Mutant Year Zero, and also, I guess, in Forbidden Lands, you have gear breakdown. It says that the success rate is lesser with Mutant Year Zero and Coriolis the Third Horizon. So you're getting the games that are easiest now fitting in the middle of the pile, with Vaesen success rate going down, so that you have more fear as what's coming out of that. And with Coriolis the Great Dark, it rates it at 49.3%, um, and trauma as being the consequence. And I guess that's part of the rolling on the chart. So, like the crit chart. Tales from Loop at 46.3%, Walking Dead at 38% with with the push threshold. Thank you very much, puppies. Um, uh, Again, the trauma is real for The Walking Dead, and I would say that that's pretty bad. I'm really surprised about Tales from Loop being as difficult. So, key insights. Forbidden Lands push re-rolls boost success to 65.2. Um, Dragonbane still dominates post push success at 80%. Um, so Dragonbane pushing is great, but you are going to take fatigue, you're gonna have to mark and then you take a bane on strength or the con if needed, or willpower or whatever. So agility, and so uh there are consequences. The risk of severity, the trauma risk, of course, in Walking Dead is high. Coriolis the Great Dark is high, with the trauma being permanent. Yeah, I would say that the severity of Coriolis the Great Dark, especially given the delving, is huge. The delving is an essential part of the game, but it doesn't have to be week to week that you're delving. You can very much play, as you did in Coriolis the Third Horizon, with many, many stories and many, many different ways of dealing with the realities of a clunky space travel uh, on Ship City. Uh, but the delve still is important. It's part of the survival of Ship City to go out, and so uh, it's not something to be dismissed. Um, the One Ring Second Edition Shadow Taint, as a character who gets a lot of Shadow Taint for some very strange reason, I don't know why. Um, yeah, that is difficult as it accumulates and your character starts to change uh, because of that taint. Vasan's Fear, I think, again, it's averaging out in the middle, and I love it. Alien and the Panic, Forbidden Lands with the willpower depletion. All of those games are very much in the middle, and I think that's why they are so successful. Coriolis Third Horizon and the Darkness Points. I mean, the Darkness Points are great if you use them well, but you have to be a good GM to not rack them up and then spend them all at once. You need to, I think, understand why Darkness Points were there. With Walking Dead, ramping up the panic, I think that it ramps up too high. I think that The Walking Dead goes from 3 to 4 very, very quickly, and you end up uh, having a true fear from the characters, but also a high possibility of everybody dying. It's The Walking Dead, so it is consistent with the theme. Um, Going down to Dragonbane and Fatigue, yes, I think that Dragonbane is much easier, and then Mutant Year Zero and Tales from the Loop, again, doesn't seem as risky, but if we go back and look above, we see that, um, Tales from the Loop doesn't have that great of a success rate, and if we look at this part, we see that, um it is the second lowest base success rate. Thank you very much, puppies. So we go down to, I think the severity um, is appropriate. I don't dismiss anything, but you may beg to differ. The degree of success analysis. So this is the average of the degree of success. Walking Dead, Tales from the Loop, The One Ring, Dragonbane, Coriolis the Great Dark, and Coriolis the Third Horizon meet in the middle, with Blade Runner being, uh, on average, pretty good with Mutant Year Zero and Vaesen. So there is a variance with Forbidden Lands, and I would say that the same is true uh, in some regard with uh, Blade Runner. Heroic bias. I love this because I ask it about, what, how, how heroic are your characters? Well, in The Walking Dead, it's bleak. I love that. Alien is second bleakest. And then you see that it's got Tales from the Loop, The One Ring, and we're working our way up to The Great Dark. I like that The Great Dark is still in the middle with Vaesen and Dragonbane, considering that those are probably at the moment. I mean, Vaesen, Dragonbane, Coriolis, and The One Ring are all in there with my favorites. So for me, it's meeting in the middle with Blade Runner being super heroic in the AI's analysis, and Mutant Year Zero being, you're again a hero. Coriolis, you're a hero. Forbidden Lands, and then with that Forbidden Lands going down to Coriolis the Great Dark, I think that's the sweet spot where you don't want to be so very desperate, like Alien. Tales from the Loop, I mean, poor kids. But you're right smack in the middle. I think that's the sweet spot. I think that's why Coriolis the Great Dark is placed there in its analysis. And remember, I have fed it enough information that it understands the talents and the consequences. So I like that. I'm quite happy with that in terms of an analytic point of view. Um, and it's highlighting Forbidden Lands because it was the last question I asked it. Hey, put in Forbidden Lands. You forgot a game. So compare and contrast. So the mechanic of resolution, um, a D6 pools versus step dice, push mechanic, add dice with gear loss, re-rolls, power, depletion, risk, immediate penalties versus long-term resource drain. Um, I think it depends on the game, in terms of what I prefer. I like the immediate penalties that come with Vaesen. I like the long-term resource drain that happens with Coriolis the Great Dark so far. Now I need another game on Saturday we'll be playing, and I will be paying particular attention as it starts dropping down. The playstyle. It's a survival resource management exploration focused survival. Uh, yeah. Hmm. So the horror subgenres. Uh, I'd really like my dog to shut up. So, Alien. Science fiction horror. Coriolis the Great Dark is gothic survival. I like that definition by the AI. Vaesen, folk horror. And The Walking Dead survival horror. So these horror subgenres are really, really good. I like that. The strengths of Alien is the stress, the panic sickness, the system. The weakness is low player agency. Does that make sense to you? Not playing it, I don't know if it's that railroady. Is it railroady? I didn't think reading it was, but maybe you don't. Maybe it's because usually you're trapped with a bunch of aliens because that's the whole point of the game. I mean, when people say that, you're delving and you're stuck just delving, what the hell's the point of that? Uh, that lethality of going into a spaceship with a bunch of aliens, you're playing aliens, so there's no real surprise, no real horror. You know what you're getting into. Um, why some people prefer Alien over Coriolis the Great Dark is kind of like you're you're doing the same thing with Alien all the time. At least with Vaesen, you're all over the place. You can do pretty much anything, and it's always new and different and exciting. Limited combat depth for Vaesen. Yeah, slow burn mystery. It is a slow burn, and you've got to have the right people. And the the understanding that this is a mystery that needs to be unfolded. I love that because I try to keep it moving as a GM. I did this with a bunch of 13-year-olds at the time, 12 and 13-year-olds. If you can keep their attention, that's awesome. And it did, and so it's still one of their favorite games. But so is Walking Dead. If I'm asking the young people what they wanna play, The Walking Dead is first, and then Dragonbane. They love they love the brutality, they love the brutal realism, um, and they love the fact that there's a low you're not a hero. They either wanna go one way or the other way. They either wanna be the big, big, big hero, so superhero type, or they really wanna feel the desperation. The final rankings. How arrogant of it. Alien, best for cinematic horror, Forbidden Lands, best hex crawl survival, absolutely. Best for noir storytelling. I think that that's an accurate depiction from the AI. Best epic fantasy narrative is the one ring. I think it is an epic. You are traveling, you are moving, you are doing things. And Coriolis the Great Dark, best for cosmic horror. I agree. Um, with a limited 4-game run, with the reading of the rules as I have them, I absolutely agree. It talks about key corrections and stuff like that, and that's just other stuff. So let's just fly back to some of the stuff that I got initially when I ask it all these silly questions. As you can see, uh, Llama went through a lot, as did. Yeah, there, compare and contrast. Let's look at this one. I think this one is the most full before I start asking it for more stuff. Yeah, see, I am very pleased with the above answer, but please redo this each analysis in order from highest to lowest because it was just ugh. So this is DeepSeek actually who's giving me this information, and there it is, and we've already run through. I like this answer with the threshold consequence type. Reputation loss, gear breakdown in Mutant Year Zero, the darkness points in Coriolis, the fear in Vaesen, the trauma of Coriolis the Great Dark, fatigue in Dragonbane. So these are all consistently answered later on. I think that these are all the same. These are very similar. So here, this is a little bit different is the compare and contrast where it shows, you know, the weakness and narrow narrative focus, um, and uh, Mutant Year Zero, moderate consequences. It's flexible and it's gear centric, whereas you have low risk with Blade Runner. Okay. Um, If you're looking at Coriolis the Third Horizon, it's a space opera, very appropriate definition. Balanced risk reward, slow burn. Okay, so balanced risk reward, thematic complexity. Uh, Everybody loves the thematic complexity. Absolutely. Uh, with Vaesen, it's a slow burn tension, as we've discussed. Again, it focuses on the limited combat depth, but it's not supposed to be a bang bang shooter. You're supposed to be uh, withholding. You're shooting a fairy? Why? You're shooting someone else? Aren't you worried about getting arrested? Anyway, Coriolis, The Great Dark, Gothic Survival, high stakes cosmic horror. It's punishing for new players. I think we've talked about this actually online on with the effect people that I know and love. Um, yeah, if you are a new player or a new GM, there is a steeper learning curve. This is consistent. Uh, So non-year zero games. So I like how it breaks down the non-zero in this analysis. Dragonbane is lighthearted. Yeah, it is mirth and mayhem, accessible, swingy fun. It is very swingy. Low thematic depth. Yep. The One Ring. Epic fantasy. Yes. Rich lore. Steep learning curve. It is a bit steep. We are still referring to rules constantly. So yeah, I think that that's fair enough. That the One Ring does require a more thinky style, but once you get into it, it's not daunting by any means. Tales from the Loop, nostalgic, yeah, emotional, role play focus, limited mechanical complexity. Absolutely, and that's part of its appeal. The Walking Dead. Yeah, brutal realism, low player agency. Again, it comes back to the low player agency. I don't know, when I was playing with the kids, again, they were 13, 14. Some of them were 12. We played in the summer, we played about 36 to 40 hours of it. And I've spoken about it in previous videos. They loved it, as I just said not that long ago. I think they had lots of player agency. I disagree with the AI. I think that they had a lot to be able to do, um, but it required a lot of imagination. So it's not really taking that into account. The final rankings, best balance, mechanics, and themes for Blade Runner. Hurrah! Vasan, best horror atmosphere, absolutely. Best for high stakes survival is The Great Dark. Yeah, it's high stakes, and I'm realizing that, and I'm liking it. I must say, I'm really liking it. Mutant Year Zero, sandbox play. Yeah, I would like to play that. I think that, and it's not in this analysis, but I think Forbidden Land is probably the best sandbox play. But maybe those who have more experience with Mutant Year Zero will completely disagree. It is more heroic. It is absolutely put it at the top of the scale. And then narrative integration for the One Ring, of course, it's absolutely brilliant. And then I tell it, why have you got Dragonbane with 5d20? And then it says, oh, okay, so let's go back and see with Llama, because we were still there with, and I'm just doing this because the difference with Llama is Llama did give uh, a different way of uh, approaching some of the questions. So yeah, I'm a text-based AI. All right. So, gives lovely possibilities and stuff like that. Degrees of success. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mutant Year Zero, Coriolis, The One Ring, Tales from the Loop. So it puts Tales from the Loop lower down in terms of degree of success, I think, or a little higher up in the middle. With Vaesen lower. Oh, this was my problem, is that they're not putting it in order. So The Walking Dead is the lowest with 1.04. Yeah, see, and then Tales from the Loop is 1.21. So it's not, so that's where I get mad at it and say, hey, put it in order. I don't understand. I look at numbers and I go blind. Um, okay, uh so I then ask it more questions. Uh Yeah, it's providing the same stuff. I'm trying to find some stuff that is different uh from what we already gained from DeepSeek. Oh, and then we go get back into DeepSeek. So I want to go back to me and just kind of talk about some of the joys and struggles. Um As a GM, Vaesen is the best. I think you can do anything. If you look at Thomas Bolton's uh, uh, Japanese offering, which is somewhere hidden amongst this stuff. Um, I don't know where the hell it is at the moment, but anyway, you have a vast majority. All you have to do is go look at myths, look at folk tales, look at fairy tales, and you can design and do your own thing. If you look on Drive Through Review, there's so many games. It's my favorite because of its breadth of creativity that you can throw into it. It can be railroady, but any game can be railroady from the point of view of GM because you prepare stuff and then you let it loose. Um, there is stuff that is prepared because, as you can see, I have a lot of everything Vesson, and I'm waiting for Carpathia, which I think is hitting mail soon. I can't speak enough. If you haven't played it, get it, play it. It's great. The dice are beautiful. For D6s. And looking at the One Ring, of which I very rarely buy special covers, but I did buy both the special covers for that. The One Ring is complicated, and I must say that as somebody who needs to really concentrate when I'm looking at a game, I need some hand-holding with some of my friends, to get me through some of the stuff. Now, fortunately, I'm rolling online, and so the math is done for me, and it's all calculated. I still sometimes get confused with damage, but again, playing online, it's calculated. You look at it, you've got an answer. The implementation on Foundry is great. I like it very much, and so that's good. It's broad. That's the only thing that it drives me nuts. Um, so then I work over to Forbidden Lands. Now, all my Forbidden Land stuff is up there, and I've got the core books, and then I have the three expansions. The first three expansions. I don't know if there's anything else out yet. Um, it's an awesome hex crawl. I think that it's got a lot of really neat mechanics. Um, I like games where gear has the possibility of breaking. I like that a lot, and I think that it gives more realism. Um, and maybe that's another reason why I like Coriolis is I think that it's implemented very well in that system, uh, where you push a roll and something's going to break. But there are times when you're going to have to push your roll. Um, and then I think that's it for those. Um, I work my way down to Dragonbane. Dragonbane, I've played a lot, an awful lot, more than anything else. Dragonbane is one of those things where I really struggle with the experience point system. My character died. I'm playing today, this afternoon. We'll be playing online. And Dragonbane requires every game to roll your dice to try to beat. So it's roll over when you're trying to get your experience up. So you have 5 in boating, whatever it's called, and you wanna raise that. Maybe you've gone on a boat and it makes thematic sense that you've read a nautical book in your spare time and you say, I'm reading a nautical book. Okay, so you have to roll over. Well, you've got 75%. I know some statistics. 75% to gain your level. That's easy. Once you start hitting around 10, 11, you're having a harder time. Obviously, it's 45% or, you know, as you go on. But hitting the sweet spot of 18, which gives you a heroic ability, and heroic abilities are awesome unless you reach milestones, if your GM is being generous to give you milestones. So the leveling can be slow and painful and horrific. So I just rolled up a new character. I'm very pleased with the character, very, very happy. But in rolling to raise uh, the different skills, well, my failure rate was exceedingly great. That's not shown in these statistics. So that's how, in a lot of ways, that game is really, really punishing, is because you don't really excel up as fast as you would like. You're not getting 3 points to automatically shove in after every game. You don't see the true leveling. Now, with the One Ring, you're gaining them, and at least you see that you're gaining a pot, you're gaining a pot, and you realize that after every game session, you're getting a pot. So you know that your character is pretty much static, so you're not expecting the big reward until the GM says, "Okay, you're able to truly rest. Now you're able to spend your skill points or advancement points. Go for it." Or you're at Yule, go nuts. And of course, damage is really, really brutal in the One Ring. With Dragonbane, it, the conditions can be cured faster, but effects take a little more time. Magic, unless your GM is being very generous with giving you spells, it's going to be a nightmare to get new spells. You've got to study for a week. You've got to pass your exams with your roll. You've got to pay out a fortune in gold. So you're not relying on your own gold. You have to rely on party gold to get more. Then you've got to ensure that you have saved experience points that you could have rolled to raise skills, but you're not. So you have to keep track of your of your of those so that you can spend those on the possibility of if you get a grimoire or if you get a spell or like a scroll or something. So being a magic user or a wizard or whatever you want to call it, them, you've got to put a lot of effort. I mean, you've got to really be patient because you're not getting the quick hit rewards as you do in 5e. Um, Windheim is awesome. I think Windheim is worth mentioning. It is a Dragonbane expansion. It's got a lot of really good directional stuff. It is a little bit it's railroady, but campaigns tend to be. Moving over to Coriolis. Coriolis, the Third Horizon. I've kept a book. Well, I've kept all of the books, actually. I kept all of the Third Horizon books. Um, yeah, great system, great game, awesome. Um, I don't think that there were any major flaws that I thought of for myself. I think that it is a great grand opera, and you just go around and you're just exploring everything, and I mean, it's what was that what was that show called? I forget. Anyway, it's the guy with the hair that goes up. Um, Man, I want to say Fifth Element, but it's not. Um, anyway, loads of fun. I love it. Uh, Now I did put in Simbarum, Simbarum, uh, partly because I have all the books. I haven't played it, and I don't know how to fit it in here, and so I didn't add it in, and that's my omission, and I'm sorry. Excellent game from everything I've read, and I have not played it. Walking Dead, I have already spoken about that. It's punishing, but it's great and satisfying. As a GM, it's so satisfying. As a player, I can see in their eyes, it's just great. And if you add a picture, or if they choose a picture, if they draw a picture, it gives much more depth. If you provide your group with images and you don't mind the AI stuff and you provide them with images of people and say, this is Jeff, he's a pilot, and this is Nancy, and she's a pro wrestler, you know, whoever you're playing with, if you have these images and you have their names and you put it on the table or you put it online, you're going to relate to it. The only thing is that when I when I did play with the R102 airship take on Vason from the 30s, is that for some people I think they become overwhelmed with so many characters around. But to me, I think that that adds. You don't have to know all the people, but, it's like saying, "Well, you've got 6 directions that you can go in a hex crawl. Which direction are you gonna go?" If you've got all these people right in front of you, where do you wanna go? You have to make the choice. It's like if you go into a bar, in a game, or a saloon in a game, you've got to make a choice as to which patron you sit with, or who you go to. We're always assumed to have a whole bunch of other people around, but in Walking Dead, I think that it's important to say, okay, here are the people that are in this uh, this compound, and these are the people that you're going to be interacting with. So you better either get to know them or figure out who they are. And the kids loved it when I X'd them out and said, "Okay, well, you killed that nasty bastard." Uh, Tales from the Loop is so beautiful. It's beautiful. Um, but just like Kids on Bikes and stuff like that, I'm not interested. Um, I guess maybe I turned off. I'm not as interested in things like uh, the latest movie that's come out uh, with the theme park and all that stuff. The name escapes me because I don't really care about the show. Um, he's a great artist. He does fantastic work. Tales from the Loop, the TV show, was epic and really, really good, and I thought it was well done. Electric State, which name has come back to me. Um, I didn't add it in. I don't have it. I'm not intending on getting it. I'm not interested in it. I know it has different mechanics. Some mechanics that are similar to Coriolis the Great Dark. There's nothing about it that leads me to want it, and there's nothing about the TV show that makes me want to watch it, from what I've heard. So this is it, and wow, it has been almost an hour. I'm sorry that I've wasted some of your time. I hope that I haven't, but if you've watched this far, I'm glad that you have. My opinions are uh, just my opinions. I've been looking at kind of, okay, what are the statistics? What are the chances? What are the different push mechanics? What's really going on with these different games and the Year Zero engine? How do they differ? How do they compare and contrast? What push mechanic is in what, and the whys and wherefores? If you're looking at building a new game, or if you're looking at how Free League has evolved, because I think that that's a good way of putting it. Free League has evolved. Um, what have been its strengths? What have been its wins? And what are its weaknesses? Um, that's for you. Everybody has their personal take. There are a lot of people who love Blade Runner. And so, um, with everything, enjoy the games that you enjoy. Buy the games that meet your requirements, no matter what they are, and fulfill your fun bucket. but don't shit on someone else's game. I tend to do that with 5e. Um, but that's more a company policy thing and a company issue than it is uh, individual. I don't. I played the game to death, and I don't appreciate it anymore. But that's me. Other people are loving it. Love the game. Um, I have a lot of American friends that I very much like and appreciate and enjoy, and but I'm not, as a Canadian, very keen on their country and on their president and on their politics, or their system, or their lack of system of government at the moment. They're looking a lot like China and Russia, but I still like the people. So, you know, it's hard to start making choices with games unless you're looking at the mechanisms and saying, I don't particularly like this mechanism. I don't particularly like this push mechanic. I don't particularly so this was the point of this, is to kind of look through it and say, yeah, this makes sense. No, this doesn't make sense. This resonates. This doesn't resonate. I don't know if this has helped. Take care. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves. And I'll be on, if I get this up later on, with Dido on my channel playing Dragon Bane with a new character. And if you didn't know what happened to the other character, watch the last episode. Bye.